Well, even though we only slipped the boat about 6 months ago, somewhere along the line in our travels, we've picked up a whole bunch of little barnacles growing on the hull. So here today at Carlow Creek, we've used the huge tidal range to dry out on the sandbank so I can remove some of those pesky little barnacles. Hi, we're the Lobbies. That's Ali.
And that's Paul,
We're exploring Australia aboard our sailing catamaran.
along with our sailing cat, Scuttlebutt.
And you can come along for the adventure. We're Champagne on Ice. Hit the subscribe button to see our regular clips. This beautiful little place is Carlow Creek near Rainbow Beach and Tin Can Bay, just south of Fraser Island or Gari.
We were waiting for northerly winds to blow us towards home for a couple of weeks now, and while the strong sou'easters halted our progress, they allowed us time to explore the area.
This time we're sailing from the bottom of Gari to have a surf at Double Island Point, then down to Moreton Bay to explore the fascinating Tangalooma Wrecks, continuing south to Peel Island and through the Canipa Passage and the Broadwater to the Gold Coast and all the delights the Glitter Strip has to offer.
The large tidal ranges in Queensland allow the resourceful boatie to dry out on the mudflats for a light scrub to keep the hull nice and smooth for fast sailing.
And here is the end result. All the barnacles are gone. The waterline's had a bit of a scrub. And all we have to do now is wait until that tide comes back in and we can float off. Rainbow Beach is a charming little town, famous for its coloured sand cliffs, sweeping beaches, just perfect for a dip in the warm water and easy four-wheel drive access.
A walk through the beautiful forest just out of town takes you to the Carlow Sand Blow. Over time, wind has pushed sand up the cliff, smothering the bush. It's now a moonscape covering 15 hectares and growing each year.
Saying goodbye to the little village, we skirted around the bottom of Gari once again, past the car ferries that take four-wheel drives from Inskip Point across to the island, and over to our favourite lagoon on the east coast, anchoring behind the sandspit at Double Island Point.
This time, there was a perfect little wave breaking on the spit just behind the boat, and after the lack of surf in the Whitsundays, Lobby was onto it.
Sailing south from Double Island Point and past the ships waiting to enter Brisbane, we arrived in Moreton Bay, anchoring at sunset next to the wrecks at Tangalooma.
P&O's Pacific Encounter set sail amid a brilliant Brisbane sunset. As the passengers were settling into dinner and drinks and contemplating their voyage ahead, we too were excited to go exploring the next day.
15 old steel ships were scuttled off Moreton Island in 1963 to create a safe harbour for small boats to anchor. The artificial reef is not only fascinating to explore, but supports a vast array of marine life.
Further south in Moreton Bay, we anchored off the former leper colony of Peel Island to ride out a stormy blow. Then it was down the Canipa Passage to the Gold Coast.
The Gold Coast has it all when it comes to boating. Sheltered waterways, sandy beaches and a warm climate. The keen yachties at Southport race at least 3 times a week, in twilights on the Broadwater and offshore on the weekend. Motor launches and super yachts provide constant eye candy, right down to the tinny rats who push the limits of physics and common sense.
Every conceivable trade and service in the marine industry is here in a big way. We called into the boatworks to replace our tired old batteries and our 16-year-old solar panels. The new panels give us 3.5 times more power than the old ones. With all that extra power, we no longer needed our portable petrol generator, which we sold. We also replaced our little petrol outboard with an electric one and are using our surplus power from our sun to charge it. The new technology is fantastic. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. Listen for the start.
I can't hear anything.
No, all we can hear is the sound of the water going past the hull.
Just the water slushing.
This is so good.
Wow.
Do a little 360.
So here we are going flat out with the new electric outboard.
I think it's faster than our old one.
It's quiet.
Can't hear anything except the water.
With several hours range on one charge, we scooted around the canals at Coomera, past the Riviera factory, where shiny new Australian-built motor yachts await their lucky new owners. Even a bevy of swans came by to check out our new outboard, or maybe they were just after some shade on a hot day.
Hello there. Paul's brother Andy and his wife Kaz were on a road trip from Newcastle and called in while we were at the boatworks, checking out the boats in the yard and staying the night aboard. We loved catching up after our months away.
The Gold Coast can turn on some fantastic summer storms, and while we were anchored in the Coomera River, this huge wedge cloud rolled in. We watched it approaching as it became menacing, and then it blasted us with a downpour and gale wind.
On the Coomera River lies Sanctuary Cove, a playground for the rich and famous. While the cars and real estate are pricey, the marina is relatively affordable, so we called in for a few days. We shared our morning walks with the resident kangaroos that hang out on the golf course, and we caught up with our great friends from Newcastle, Teddy and Trudy, and their dog Senny, who have their boat on the Goldie for a while.
When we were backpacking across Europe 17 years ago, I popped the question to Alison on a gondola ride in Venice. Thankfully, she said yes. It's one of our most romantic memories.
So when we spotted these gondolas on the Gold Coast, we couldn't resist taking a ride through Australia's Venice, the canals of surfers' paradise.
Rather than being pushed along by a gondolier with an oar, these ones are driven by a skipper in control of a 9.9 horsepower outboard built into a well beneath the back deck. It may not be as traditional, but with plush seats, champagne on ice and a classic love songs playlist, it's every bit as romantic and fun.
Hasta mi día, te esperaré todo mi día. Te esperaré hasta mi día, te esperaré todo mi día. Todo el día y toda la noche, no puedo dejar de pensar en ti. Todo el día y toda la noche, siempre.
Next time, the wind finally shifts back to the north and we continue on our journey south from the Gold Coast. And we have a delightful time in Coffs Harbour while we spend nearly 2 weeks again waiting for the right weather.